The North Sea Deception. The North Sea Deception. The first broadside never came. That was the worst of it. We lay at quarters in the half-light, guns run out, matches lit, the Dauntless steady as a held breath, and still the stranger did not fire. She hovered at the edge of the fog, a smear of canvas and intention, her colors hidden, her intent not. We watched her through the cold dawn until my eyes burned, and then she ran up a signal only a British squadron should know. "Sir," the signal midshipman whispered, voice cracking. "That code's ours." That was when I began to understand how far ashore the betrayal reached. We'd been running east-northeast all night, the wind hard over the quarter, the ship leaning into it like a man walking against a crowd. Behind us, London had slipped below the curve of the world, taking its chimneys and courts and false comforts with it. Ahead lay the Skagerrak, the patrol line, and whatever shape the war had decided to wear this week. At 2 bells of the morning watch, the horizon was only a darker line in the dark. By 4, it began to remember it had a color. Mist drifted low, torn in long ribbons by the wind, rising and falling like breath. "Strange sail off the larboard bow," came the cry from the foretop. The deck woke. Boots, voices, the thump and clatter of a ship returning to her favorite occupation. I took the glass. Through it, in the thin grey, I caught a shape, single-decked, square-rigged, hull low in the water, running across our course as if she'd only just remembered we existed. "Not one of CA's," murmured Boatswain Collier at my elbow. "He keeps his brood close." "Could be a Danish trader," said Dr. Wren, squinting. "Or a Frenchman disguised as a Danish trader, disguised as a mistake." "Beat to quarters," I said, politely. The drum rattled its impartial command. Gun crews spilled from hatches and scuttles, yawning themselves into readiness. Marines took station along the poop and forecastle, priming their muskets with the particular care of men who don't trust luck. Captain Godwin emerged from the companionway, still fastening his coat, hair untamed, eyes sharper than either. "Report! Single frigate or heavy sloop, sir," I said. "Crossing our bows, no colors." "Of course not," he said. "Why wear a name tag to a hanging?" He went to the rail, glass to his eye. For a long moment he was silent. "Not one of ours," he said at last. "But she knows where she is. Bring us a little more to windward, Mr. Harcourt. Let's see if we can read her manners." "Aye, sir. Quartermaster, 2 points to windward. Hands, trim those braces. Make her answer like she's listening." The Dauntless swung, timbers murmuring, wake shearing into new patterns. The stranger adjusted too, not away, not toward, with us, watching. At my shoulder, the signal midshipman, a new lad by the name of Kerr, fumbled with the glass and nearly dropped it. He was all knees, freckles, and good intentions. His predecessor had died of a splinter in the fjord. The ship had grown quieter around the halyards since. "Keep breathing, Kerr," I said. "It helps with seeing." "Yes, sir. Sorry, sir." He took a steadier grip. "She's hoisting, sir. I see flags." "What flags?" asked Godwin without turning. "Red, white, blue." "No, that's wrong. Kerr swallowed, tried again. "Sir, I think it's a private signal, British form, but I don't know the group." "Let me," Locke's voice, smooth as ink, slid in from behind us. Avery Locke, Admiralty's pet observer, took the glass from Kerr with the calm of a man taking a confession. He watched in silence, then lowered it and looked down at the signal book in his hand. He turned a page, then another. His lips moved once. The wind chose that moment to drop so that when he spoke, we all heard. "It's a recognition from the North Sea Patrol list," he said. "Code used by Sea's advanced scouts. Challenge and reply." "Reply then," said Godwin. Locke's quill-tipped finger hesitated over the page. "That is unfortunate," he said. "Why?" I asked. "The reply group listed for Dauntless is—" He tapped the line. "The same sequence used in the forged letter to LaRoche. Someone has been efficient with their duplications." For a moment, the deck, the men, the guns, all of it, seemed to hang over a drop I could not see the bottom of. "So, if we answer," Wren said softly, "we risk confirming that the false correspondence is genuine." "And if we do not answer," I said, "we look like an impostor to a ship that believes it is British." Godwin lowered his glass. The dawn had made him older. "Mr. Harcourt," he said, "your proposal?" "Answer," I said, but with a single flag inverted. Enough to say, "We know your code, and you know we know something is wrong." Locke stared at me. "You are suggesting we send an intentional error in a classified recognition signal at sea, in wartime, to an unidentified ship?" "Yes," I said, "because whoever wrote that list expects us to behave exactly as you've just described, Mr. Locke. Predictably." "Madness," he said. "Madness is staying in the trap because the floor looks official," Wren muttered. Godwin's mouth twitched. "I find myself favoring madness today," he said. "Hoist Mr. Harcourt's suggestion. Let's see who recognizes the mistake." Kerr's hands trembled as he set the halyards, but the flags went aloft true, red, blue, yellow, then the last, deliberately upside down, a sailor's blasphemy, written on the sky. We waited. The wind toyed with the bunting. The stranger held her course. Then slowly, her own flags climbed. Locke read them aloud. "Who is your master?" "Direct," Wren said. "I admire a ship with questions." Godwin looked at me. "Well?" I felt the eyes of 182 men on my back. I thought of London's panels, the board's hard chairs, Locke's ledger hands, Eleanor's eyes under a dripping shawl. I thought of the chest of papers, the forged letters, the third packet we had sent to the bottom of a neutral harbour. "Hoist the sea," I said. Kerr blinked. "Sir." "You heard the lieutenant," said Godwin. There was a new edge in his tone, not anger, not quite laughter. "Hoist the sea." Locke made a small, strangled sound. "There is no authorized signal group for such an answer." "There is now," Godwin said. The flags went up. 2 moments later, the stranger spilled her wind, slid off a point, and vanished into the mist. She did not reply. She did not fire. She was simply gone. Only her wake remained, curling in the grey like a question mark. Wren let out a long breath. "Well," he said, "either we've just told a French spy we're not the fools he thought, or we've convinced a British scout to go home and drink." "Either way," I said, "someone ashore will be furious." Locke lowered the glass very carefully. "You have just committed a breach of signal protocol serious enough to warrant removal from command," he said. "Then by all means," Godwin replied, "remove me, though I'd prefer you wait until after the battle you've brought us into. I did not bring you into—" "Oh, but you did," Godwin said softly, stepping closer, "with your lists and your codes and your very neutral questions. You, and whatever office signed your orders." For a moment I thought Locke might genuinely flinch. Instead, he straightened, mask snapping back into place. "For the record, I will note that the decision to alter the recognition was the lieutenant's suggestion and the captain's order," he said, "not mine." "Noted," I said. "For whatever record you're keeping, Mr. Locke, I trust you'll also note that we're still afloat." His eyes chilled. For the moment, the weather backed to the north, carrying with it a taste of ice and something older than any of us. By midday, the clouds had lowered, the sea had steepened, and the Dauntless was shouldering her way through short, ugly seas that slapped the hull with the impatience of a creditor. We drilled, we adjusted, we pretended not to know how carefully the horizon was being watched. Our new crew member made herself known that afternoon, though technically she had been aboard since Portsmouth. Mary Mac Macready, powder monkey turned signal runner, had the sort of small, wiry frame the Navy found irresistibly useful. She'd bound her chest, chopped her hair to a ragged crop, and answered to Mac with convincing irritation. She found me on the quarterdeck, breath puffing in the cold. "Begging your pardon, sir," she panted, "but there's something you ought to see in the signals locker." "You're supposed to be in the magazine," I said. "Yes, sir, and if what I saw had stayed in the magazine, I'd still be there." That earned her my full attention. "Lead on." The signals locker was a cramped cubby off the chart room, smelling of damp canvas and ink. Bundles of flags lay in neat rolls. The signal books, locked in their chest, sat in their appointed place. Mac went straight to the chest and pointed to the hasp. "Sir, that lock was open at the start of my watch," she said. "Only for a moment, but long enough for someone to have a look." "Who has keys?" I asked. "You, sir, the captain, Mr. Locke." She hesitated. "I've seen none of you in here, not till now." I examined the lock. No new scratches, no obvious marks. But the angle of the hasp was a fraction off, the way a door sits when it's been forced once and never quite recovers its innocence. "Why didn't you go straight to the captain?" I said. She looked me straight in the eye. "Because the last time a man tried to tell an officer something about papers, sir, he shot the wrong fool on deck and we near as not all died for it." "Fair." "Thank you, Mac," I said. "You did right. Keep this to yourself. If anyone asks, you say you were fetching dry bunting." "Yes, sir." Her gaze flicked to the signal chest again, then to the overhead. "Sir, do you reckon we'll be all right?" I thought about lying, then I remembered Eleanor's words. "Keep him out of mirrors, let him save you." "We're North Sea sailors," I said. "All right is a story other people tell. We'll be alive." She nodded, some inner arithmetic satisfied, and vanished back down the ladder with the dangerous speed of youth. I opened the signal chest. The books lay as they should, bindings to the aft, ribbons marking the current pages. Only one thing was wrong, a small slip of paper tucked between pages that had no need of bookmarks on it, a line in a hand I knew too well now. "The next signal from shore is the knife." "E." I read it twice, then folded it into my pocket and closed the chest. The ship rolled. The sea hissed along her sides. Somewhere forward, a man laughed at a joke too poor for land. The next signal, from shore. I found Godwin in the great cabin, standing over the table where our charts lay spread. His fingers traced the shipping lanes the way some men trace scars. "We're near the patrol line," he said. "Another day, perhaps less, and we shall be among Sea Un's brood. Feel safer?" Not yet, I said. We have a problem in the signal locker. Lock, or whoever pays him. I told him what Mac had seen. I did not mention the note. Not yet. Instead, I said, the next signal from shore may not be what it seems. He smiled a little. They have been not what they seem for some time, Mr. Harcourt. Then we prepare for the worst of them. He looked at me in that way he had, as if measuring how much of the ship he could safely hand me without damaging either of us. You are taking steps beyond your rating, he said. Yes, sir, I said. Someone has to. Silence then, the clean, sharp kind. At last, he murmured. You've decided to stop being necessary and start being dangerous. He nodded, to himself more than to me. Very well, when the moment comes, do what I have not. What moment? You will know it by the noise it makes, he said quietly. And by the way Locke looks at you. We sighted the first of sea ships at dawn, 3 frigates, and a 74 beating slowly eastward under reduced sail, the sea grey, the wind sulky. They looked like tired wolves on a long patrol. Flags climbed our halyards, flags climbed theirs. Recognition, confirmation, orders to close and join. The code groups matched the ones in our book, no inversions, no errors, no excuses. Signal from flagship, Kerr read, voice steadier now. Take station in rear, await further instruction. Of course, Wren muttered. See, flagship was the Valorous, a brutish 2-decker with a reputation for surviving battles by beating them to death. We took our place astern of her, another tooth in the arc. By midday, a cutter came skimming across from the flagship, running before the swell like a rumour. She came alongside. A lieutenant in C-Dash's colours climbed aboard, stamping spray from his cloak. Orders for Captain Godwin, he said. His eyes took in the guns, the crew, the wear on the timbers with the quick professional lust of a man who loves ships more than anything that lives on them. We took him to the great cabin. Locke joined us without needing to be summoned. The flagship's officer laid a folded, wafer-thin packet on the table. The seal was Admiralty. The hand was a clerk's. The danger was obvious. Godwin broke it. He read the contents once, his face closing as it went. He passed it to me without commentary. HMS Dauntless will detach at dusk to investigate reports of enemy frigate activity to the north of the patrol line. Priority is verification and demonstration of presence. Engagement is authorized at captain's discretion. Information to be relayed by signal at earliest opportunity. By order, etc., etc. It looked innocuous. It sounded reasonable. It was deadly. Alone, I said. Detached, the visiting lieutenant corrected politely. You have a fast ship, sir. The Admiral trusts you. Then he is unique in that regard, Wren muttered. Locke watched my eyes run along the lines. Is something amiss, Lieutenant? He asked. I remembered Eleanor's note. The next signal from shore is the knife. Yes, I said. The ink is too fresh. Godwin tilted his head. Explain, Mr. Harcourt. It was sent from shore, I said, using codes and forms that someone has already proved willing to copy. It detaches us from the squadron in exactly the manner the French would prefer. It gives us permission to be heroic at our own funeral. In short, it looks like every trap we've seen, laid in paper so far. The visiting lieutenant bristled. You accuse the Admiral of... I accuse whoever handed the Admiral this order, I cut in. The Admiralty ashore, the same office that gave our names to the letters meant for La Roche. Locke's jaw set. You have no proof. Not yet, I said, but we'll have corpses if we obey blindly. Godwin turned the paper over in his hand, feeling its weight as if it might shift. The Admiral himself, in good faith, I said. He goes to war with fleets, not ink. He will assume his paperwork is honest. It is not his job to imagine who might be sharpening quills behind him. Locke's gaze was ice. You are asking Captain Godwin to ignore a direct written order from his superior on nothing more than a feeling. No, I said. I'm asking him to obey it carefully. Godwin's eyes flicked from me to the letter and back. How does one obey carefully? He asked. We go, I said, but not alone. The visiting lieutenant snorted. The order is clear. So are cliffs on a clear day, Wren said. We still avoid them. Ask the Admiral for a consort, I said. A sloop, at least. Frame it as prudence. If the order is honest, he'll agree. If he refuses, we'll know something about the pressure coming from ashore. Godwin considered, then nodded slowly. Very well, Mr. Locke, you will accompany our friend back to the flagship and advise the Admiral that I request a light consort, phrase it in whatever language offends the fewest egos. Locke's nostrils flared an almost invisible fraction. You put me in an awkward position, Captain. Excellent, Godwin said. It's time someone did. The cutter left with Locke and the visiting officer aboard. We waited. The squadron ploughed on through rising seas. Men muttered over holystones and coils of rope. Kerr practiced his flags with an intensity that suggested he wanted to have something innocent to do when the true ugliness arrived. Eleanor's warning sat in my pocket like heat. Sir, it was Mac at my elbow again. If we do go north, Will we be able to come back? When we know who's waiting for us, I said. And if it's the wrong someone? Then we send them home first. She grinned, fierce and brief. Aye, sir. Half an hour later, the cutter returned. Locke came up the side with the rain on his hat brim and something drawn a little tighter behind his eyes. Well, Godwin asked. The Admiral has declined your request, Locke said. He believes the Dauntless more than sufficient to the task. He also believes delay would signal weakness. Of course he does, Wren muttered. However, Locke added, he has consented to our carrying an additional observer. From behind him stepped a man in a sodden cloak, hat brim low. When he straightened, I recognized him with a jolt I did not allow to show on my face. It was one of the clerks from the boardroom, the one whose quill had never stopped moving while I was being questioned, the one who had not spoken a word. Mr. Hales, Locke said, on special detail from Whitehall. He will be in your great cabin, reviewing your paperwork. The knife, I thought, not the order itself, but whoever came attached to it. Godwin bowed as if welcoming a guest to dinner, instead of a tumor into his chest. Make yourself at home, he said. You may find some of the furniture already chewed. We sailed at dusk. The sea to the north had a different character, as if it resented being asked to share its secrets. Swell steepened, wind veered, the sky lowered itself to a sulk. The Dauntless cut through it all like a thought she was determined to finish. We ran under topsails and a reefed foresail, spray flying in luminous arcs from the bows. The squadron's lights dwindled astern and then were gone, alone again. Of course, Locke spent most of his time with Hales in the great cabin, bent over ledgers and copies of ship's logs, the soft scratch of quill on paper audible even over the creak of timber. That man smells of vinegar and blame, Wren said, watching him go by. He looks at a page the way I look at a wound. Can he hang us from his desk? Collier asked. He can make it tidy when someone else does, I said. Night came in layers. We cut east and north, following the last reported lane the French were said to favor. Sentries at the mastheads, marines along the rail, quartermasters at the wheel with hands that had forgotten warmth. It was just past 8 bells of the first watch when the masthead hailed. Deck there, light fine on the weather bow. 2, no, 3, maybe more. Lanterns? I called. No, sir, too big, like stars in the wrong place. I went up the ladder 2 rungs at a time. Godwin was already there, glass in hand. He passed it to me without comment. In the murk, where sea met sky, something blinked. A pinprick, then 2, then a string. Lamps or gun flashes or some unholy hybrid of the 2. They rose and fell with the swell, too steady to be lightning, too many to be coincidence. Number? I asked. More than comfort and less than certainty, Godwin said. Could be a fishing fleet, Locke offered from the shadows. At this hour? In this weather? Wren snorted. Then they deserve whatever finds them. The lights winked again, this time in sequence. Kerr, I said, do those patterns look like anything in the book? He flipped pages by feel, eyes never leaving the horizon. No, sir. Not British. Not a regular French challenge either. Could be their own private. Sir, called Collier from the waist, we're standing right across their bows if they keep their current course. Bring her up 2 points, I said. Get us a little more sea room. No, Godwin said. Hold her as she is. I turned. Sir, if they are hostile, they already know exactly where we are, he said. If we alter now, we show fear. And if this order is the trap you claim, Mr. Harcourt, then we have sailed square into it. Evasion at this late hour will only make us look guilty, as well as dead. Then what do you propose? I asked. He looked back at the receding darkness where C-Dash's squadron lay. We do what the Dauntless does, he said. We take their first look and make it our last impression. He turned to Kerr. Hoist, ship of war, British, intend to pass. Locke hissed softly. You will announce ourselves without clear identification of the other party? Yes, Godwin said, because if they are British, they will answer, and if they are French, they already know there is a lone British frigate in this quadrant tonight, because someone ashore has seen to it. The only question left is whether we die as prey or as inconvenience. Kerr's hands shook, but the flags went up. We waited. The answer came not in cloth, but in gunfire. A single boom rolled out over the water, then a splash a bare 100 yards off our bow. A warning shot deliberately wide, deliberately intimate, near combat, a standoff written in powder. Harder starboard, I shouted. Bring her away. The helm spun, the Dauntless heeled, the sea hissed, the warning shot spray still raining down like shame. No! Godwin's voice cracked like a whip. Steady! Maintain course! The quartermaster froze between us, hands on the wheel, eyes trapped. Sir, I said through my teeth, with respect. I said steady. Godwin's gaze was on the darkness ahead. where the faint outline of masts and hull now loomed like a thought given flesh. "We are in His Majesty's waters under orders. I will not turn from ghosts in the fog." Another gun spoke. This ball passed across our wake, close enough that I felt the air slap my cheek. "Sir," I said, heart hammering, "they're walking their shot in. Next one?" "Will define us," Godwin said. His hands were tight on the rail now, knuckles white as bone. "If we turn and run, we're a guilty conscience. If we hold, we're an idiot. I can be one. I will not be the other." It was the moment, the one he had warned me about. The noise was not just gunfire, but the crack of something inside the man who had brought us this far. I heard Eleanor's voice in my head. "Let him save you." I felt Mac's small, stubborn certainty, Kerr's tremor, Wren's readiness. I heard the creak of timber, the heavy breath of a ship about to catch a ball full in her teeth because her captain could not step sideways. "Belay that, quartermaster," I said very calmly. "Starboard your helm. 2 points." The wheel moved, slowly like treason. Godwin turned his head at last. His eyes were not wild. That was almost worse. They were wounded, as if I had taken something sacred from him. "Mr. Harcourt," he said, very quiet, "you are relieving me." "Yes, sir," I said, "for the preservation of His Majesty's ship and company, on my responsibility." The words tasted like iron and something falling. There it was, in the open at last. Locke watched us with the sick fascination of a man who has baited a hook and just felt the line go taut. "Very well," Godwin said. His shoulders straightened as if a weight had shifted. "You have the deck, Captain Harcourt." He stepped back, 1 pace only, but it felt like the width of the world. The Dauntless came around, presenting her broadside, not her vulnerable bow, to the unseen guns. The next shot came closer, but passed along our flank. Splinters flew from the rail. A Marine cried out, then bit it off. We held that angle, edging away, keeping our distance but not our backs, a dance of stubborn, cautious men. Then, unexpectedly, the guns ahead fell silent. "Cease fire," I ordered. "Stand ready but hold. No one fires unless I tell them my own name backwards." Wren snorted softly. "We're doomed." Silence. The stranger's lights winked out, then reappeared, this time in a line lower and farther off. "Sir," Kerr said, "I think they're turning away." Through the glass I saw it, the shadow hull altering course, bearing off to the north and east, as if whatever it had come to see it had now seen. A signal climbed her mast, too distant to read now, but the cadence of flags unmistakable, a message sent for a watcher in the dark. "Whoever they were," Wren said, "they've decided we're not tonight's entertainment. Or they've already reported that we are present and stupid enough to be here," I said. My hands shook only a little as I lowered the glass. Godwin remained at the rail, face in shadow. After a moment he said, "Well done, Captain." The use of the word cut and soothed in equal measure. Locke scribbled notes furiously, as if afraid the ink would cool before he finished. Hales looked up from his corner of the cabin hatchway, eyes bright behind his damp fringe. I saw it then, the slight curl of his mouth, not satisfaction, anticipation. Eleanor's warning burned against my heart. "The next signal from shore is the knife." As if on cue, Kerr called out, "Sir, rocket to the west, blue star, and another from the south, both British pattern." 2 answering flares rose, far apart on the horizon, painting the low clouds in brief, unnatural color. Our own people, speaking to each other in light we could not interpret. "All hands stand by," I said. This just became crowded, far beyond them, barely visible even in the flare glow. A line of dim shapes lurked like teeth behind a smile. "Dear God," Wren whispered. "That's not a patrol. That's a fleet." In the dark between flares, the sea muttered, and the Dauntless leaned into whatever story came next.